studying trends and consulting businesses, for example. Gerald Celente is the publisher of the Trends Journal. We've talked with him on and off for years, but for the last few years, we've stolen some of Gerald's time, my first day back from Christmas and New Year vacation always, to get a look out at trends of the upcoming year as he sees them. And I have to tell you, it's been pretty interesting the last few years to have done this. He's back on the telephone with us now, Gerald Celente, the publisher of the Trends Journal. Gerald, how you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me on, Keith.
Yeah, welcome back to WBT. And we'll get into some of what you're seeing for this year, but talk about that. Go ahead and explain, the difference between kind of discerning trends versus you're not doing one of these shows where you're connecting people with their dead relatives, or you're not the Amazing Kreskin kind of a thing.
You know, it's really so basic and really simple, and it's astounding that it's not done by others to the extent that it should be. Current events form future trends. We're all doing in life what we're doing because of decisions that we've made. You know, they're going to be having a big inauguration party, and a new cabinet's being selected. And I said to myself, I should be on this cabinet. I'm a political atheist, and I hate to go to Washington because I can't stand these guys. But in serving my country, they should have a cabinet ministry position for trends and consequences. For every action that's taken, there's a reaction, a cause and effect. And it's amazing that in school we're not taught how to see ahead. We're not taught how decisions that are made are going to affect our lives in the future. And so that's all we do. We're all doing, as I said, what we do in life because of decisions, and then there are the wild cards. That's why nobody can predict the future. There are tsunamis, there are hurricanes, there are man-made and natural disasters. There are deals going on behind closed doors that you can't figure out. But when you look at the overall economic, geopolitical, social events and occurrences, you can see where it's going. You can see that the economy in 2013 is not going to be much different than the economy of 2012, only worse. And I say that because, again, you look at the cause and effect. Why is the economy even sputtering along at the level that it's going at? Very simple. Interest rates are near zero. The Fed's loaning out money. They're shoveling it into banks. Look, I bought a commercial building, a 1750s Franz Rogan house up here in Colonial Kingston. I got a mortgage for 3.2%. They covered closing costs and locked it in for 10 years, and it's a 20-year mortgage. So you can see why the economy is recovering. It's a cover-up. They're covering it up with cheap money. You look at geopolitics. I got one for you. Let's look at causes and effects. Let's look at the trends and consequences. Let's start a war in Iraq. We'll say the cat has weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda. I got one. Let's start one in Afghanistan. Why not a humanitarian mission? We'll call it in Libya. What are the trends and consequences? You can see where things are going, but here's what's happened.
Yeah, but we don't. Wait a minute. Now you're into starting to talk about some of the trends for this year, and trends versus. Yeah, you're not saying, oh, I see a tsunami in April. You're not doing that kind of thing. You're discerning. But part of the reason is because I think a lot of people, we don't want to see, or people don't want us to see, actual likely results that can reasonably be expected from certain decisions and occurrences. They like the fact, I think our leaders and politicians, they like the fact that we're a bunch of clueless knuckleheads and can't look till the next time that we're doing a thing that we've done before. In fact, they chide us. If you go into Iraq and you mention Vietnam, they chide you.
Yeah, and who are they? Yeah, that's the whole thing. Who are they? Who do they think they are? And I'll tell you who they think they are. They think they're better than we are. Hey, man, every time they show up, they got red carpets they walk on. They have a bunch of flunkies dressed up in uniforms saluting. How come these guys aren't working? Who's putting out all this baloney for these people to act like this?
There's a line. Okay, so I want to ask you more explicitly now about 2013. This is Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal. There's a line in your magazine, though, that I saw. This makes sense. The goal of trend forecasting is to predict the probable course of the future by extrapolating from verifiable facts and data. When I read that, to me, it seems like what you're doing, I would just call it kind of a social algorithm. You're looking and making calculations into the future just based on the waves and the results and the behaviors and the things that have happened when things have looked a certain way previously.
Exactly. Look, if you're going to eat a diet of junk food and drink junk drinks, what's going to be the result?
You might get fat and you might get diabetes. You might die, maybe.
Yeah,
but we
right.
don't want to think that.
I know, and that's the other part, by the way, Keith. It's not only that they want us, they like us to be factless. People are locked into belief systems. I'm a political atheist. I don't believe in anybody's political religion. And I get offended when people try to proselytize me. And I don't bow to political gods. But people are locked into belief systems so that when you show them faults in their belief systems, they get tight about it. So if you show, for instance, a liberal that, hey, man, Obama's out Bush with that Patriot Act, man. How do you love that National Defense Authorization Act where they could come and call anybody that they want an enemy of the state, American citizens, and kill us? Oh, well, he has pressure. He has to do something.
That's exactly what it is. And I mean, same on the right. We know
exactly.
that. We saw that especially through the Bush years. Okay, Gerald, in the past few New Years, when we've spoken with you, you predicted, I shouldn't say predicted, you talked about the trend. And you didn't think that Barack Obama was going to be looking for a different job after Election Day this year. I also remember a few years ago, you said, look out for serious street-level unrest coming in the Middle East. 2 or 3 years back, you said that, and sure enough, that occurred. So tell me, today, looking forward, United States, we've just avoided the fiscal cliff, so I guess everything's going to be wonderful. We've reelected the president, so I guess we're happy and thrilled. Tell me something that you see as a trend in the United States 2013.
I'll tell you the most positive trend I see. There's a great awakening. It happened before the first revolution. It's when people woke up to the fact that nobility weren't better than they were, that people woke up to the fact that they were responsible for their own salvation. It became a religious movement later on, but it was really, the works of Thomas Paine and others that are very deeply involved in it. When people realizing their own dignity and respect and courage and passion and integrity, and that nobility weren't better than they were, and that the kings and the lords and the noblemen were not better than or more noble than the average person. And they rose up against nobility. And that's what we're seeing now. We have a different so-called royal class who think they have better blood. And it's the politicians, not only at the state levels, national levels, it's the local levels. It's all of these people that get into office and think that they could rule an entire nation and tell the rest of us what we should do. We believe we are on the cusp of a second American Revolution.
You actually think this?
Oh, yeah, and it's going to be a big part of the Trends Journal. It'll just be coming out in a couple of days.
All right, Holt, you got to make sure I get that, because I will tell you what. I would love nothing better than to see a common sense movement, these are the times that try men's souls, Thomas Paine movement. Some people have been telling me that this is what's been going on for 2 or 4 years with the Tea Party revolution, and what I'm saying is I'd love to see it, but I don't see it. I don't see it really happening. Tell me why you think this great revolutionary awakening is actually going to happen.
One of my sayings is a guy born in the Bronx. When people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. And when you start to get to a point where you realize that you're responsible for your own future, And what this election did, and as you mentioned, we said Obama would win because it's nothing more than the presidential reality show, and he's a better actor. That's the only reason why we said that. And what's happening now is that you have a large group of very educated young people holding college degrees in worthlessness that can't find jobs. And they're hip to the scene, and they don't like it. And what they want to do is they want to create a better future. And they're realizing that we're getting a worse one from Washington.
But wait, didn't a lot of the people that you're describing, younger and educated and with degrees in, how did you describe
Degrees in worthlessness.
Degrees in worthlessness. Aren't those in large numbers the people who just reelected Obama?
A lot of them, but a lot of them didn't. Let's not forget, we had, 11 million less people turn out to vote. And so, again, these things don't happen overnight. And what we're saying is that there's a movement. As a lack of a better term, I would call it a new age. And I say a lack of a better term because when you say new age, people think of airbrushed unicorns, But it's an awakening of the spirit. And you go back, Keith. You go back to the Black Death that killed an estimated 60% of the Europeans, the Black Plague. What followed it? A renaissance. And I believe that's what we're on the cusp of. When you look at the behavior of these political clowns in Washington with this fiscal cliff drama, the D.C. drama queens, and the Washington Beltway circle jerks, when you look at their behavior and how many people are disgusted with it, we're also going to see another element of it. And it's the secession movements. And these are not right-wing nut movements. There's something big happening. And we believe that we are on the cusp. I mentioned I bought this old building. I bought it for a purpose. I'm on the most historic corners in the United States, the only place on each corner where there's a stone building that predates the Revolution. Kingston, New York, had a lot of its roots in the Revolution. It was the first capital of New York.
Gerald, I have to tell you, here's the thing. Make sure I get a copy of this when it comes out. Nothing would thrill me more than for you to be right on this of any trend that you've ever talked about. I just don't know if I see it. Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal, he says the new American Revolution is actually going to happen. Gerald, I appreciate your time, as always.
Thank you. It's the American spirit.
All right, make sure we get it. Make sure we get it.